When I was 11 years old, my mom came to pick me up from the library. When I got in the car and she gave me a hug, she asked me why my shirt was wet. I had sweat through the back of my shirt. And so when I looked up at her to tell her I didn't know what was going on, I couldn't see her. My vision was blurry, and all my senses felt fuzzy. And so I tried to say, "Mom, something is wrong. I'm not feeling good. Something is really, really wrong right now." But all that came out was gasps for air. I couldn't breathe. But I still tried. I tried to get just a single bit of air into my lungs. But my face felt hot. And I could taste something salty at the very tip of my tongue. I was crying. At the age of 11, I had experienced my first panic attack. And it was the most devastating and terrifying experience in my life. And sadly, it wasn't the last. Now afterwards, I thought a long time about why I had felt this way. Was it a fight I had had with someone at school? No, it couldn't have been that. Was it me missing my mom, maybe? I had missed her in the past, and nothing had ever created this big of a reaction. Maybe it was my anxiety from my parents' separation. But it couldn't have been that. I was over it, right? Short answer is I wasn't. And that all of these things, and so much more, had led to the start of my panic attack. Ever since I was a little girl, every time I had a large negative reaction to something, I have heard one of three things. Number one, get over it. Number two, you need to learn to adapt. And number three, probably the most common one I have heard my entire life from peers and adults. Why are you upset? You have food on your table. You have a roof over your head. Your needs are met. So why do you think that you have the right to be upset? Well, it turns out that the fulfillment of my basic needs, just materialistic objects and experiences, couldn't make up for the anxiety and sadness I felt brimming in my chest every day. And it was my inability to process these very emotions that had caused my panic attack. In 2016, a study found that 67% of college students experience overwhelming anxiety. Only 5 years earlier, this number was 50%. What's worse, the National Institute of Mental Health has found that 31.9% of teenagers have some form of an anxiety disorder. Well, that leaves us to ask, why are these numbers so high? Why are we, as teens, so anxious? When we don't have bills to pay, when we don't have a family to feed, when we don't have to worry about our future jobs? The answer is that we're afraid to open up. And because of this, we are unable to see our anxiety for what it really is. A glass of water being filled and filled and filled until it overflows. Emotional intelligence is crucial in navigating our anxiety. Emotional intelligence, or our emotional quotient, EQ, is the ability to use, understand, and manage your own emotions in positive ways. And I can definitely say for certain that I'm not the only one who has struggled to do this. Because when we don't understand something as heavy as our emotions, it only becomes that much more terrifying. So how do we achieve that higher emotional intelligence? How do we increase our emotional quotient? The answer lies in our self-awareness. Self-awareness, the ability to identify and understand your own emotions and the impact those emotions have on the people surrounding us. Our emotions impact our mood, our behaviors, our performance, and our interactions with the people around us. And without some proper self-awareness, we tend to make worse decisions. And overall, we lack the motivation to succeed. Now let's imagine something real quick. Imagine two students sitting in their English class, last period of the day on a Friday, and they're excited. They get to go home for the weekend. Maybe they're going to hang out, do something fun, get some food. When the teacher decides to pass back their essay grades. And those students, when seeing their grade, look down at their paper in shock. They both got a D. First, let's take a look at student A, a student who never learned to practice self-awareness, never learned how to manage and acknowledge their emotions. They look at their D, and they immediately become angry. Oh my God, I got a D. English sucks. I'm so bad at it in the first place. Why should I even try? And so they don't. Without their motivation, they no longer succeed in the class and end up failing. And because of that, they have to retake the class over the summer. Now let's look at student B, however, a student who does know and had practiced self-awareness, who's learned to manage their emotions successfully. They see the grade 2, and they feel their anger rising, but they notice it. And this time they're like, oh my God, I'm about to lose it. Got to step back for a sec. And so they take a step back, put the paper down, and they take a deep breath in and out. And they look at their paper objectively. All right, I got a D. Now what? So they decide to go and stay after class, even though it is a Friday. And they ask their teacher, what can I do to improve? And they get a tutor to work on their critical writing skills. And on the next essay, they get a C+. And they continue to put in the effort, they continue to work hard. And by the end of the semester, they get an A-. Now, I don't know about you all, but I know for certain that I don't want to live in a world where every child, every teen, and every adult feels that when they can't do something, they just shouldn't try. I don't want to live in a world where when I go to the girls' bathroom during break, I see students breaking down in tears because they are so stressed and anxious and tired with all of their homework, and they don't know how to process these very emotions. I don't want to watch people of any age be torn apart from their friends because they don't know how to communicate that they aren't doing so well. Instead, I want to live in a world where people can directly express their emotions, and they don't have to feel bad about doing so. I want to live in a world where my kids, where my grandkids, where my great-grandkids feel comfortable enough with their emotions, how they feel, to be able to develop healthy ways of processing these very emotions. I want to live in a world where the people around me, including myself, are confident enough to say just how they feel, good or bad. But that leaves us with the most important question of the day. Why do we in the first place feel such a need to hide our emotions? The answer is very simple. It's because that is what society has taught us our entire lives. And in turn, we as people in this very society have tried to do everything in our power to hide those emotions. Why? Because we believe that others expect us not to feel any negative emotions, like sadness or anger or stress. And so, we don't want to show them. And this narrative is enforced in everything, from movies to novels to TV shows, where the importance of being happy, excited, motivated all the time is heavily stressed. This creates the message that emotions that are so-called negative, like sadness, anxiety, just being upset, having a bad day, all of that is against the norm, and that is something we should avoid. And this social expectation puts a lot of pressure on us as people, the pressure to be perfect, to be happy every single second of every single day, to always be excited, to be motivated to learn when we enter a classroom. But that image is just that. It's perfection. And it's something that is nearly physically impossible for all of us to achieve. So how do we combat this view when it has been around for decades, if not centuries? Well, it starts with us. In order to break the stigma surrounding our emotions, we must first be willing to confront them. We must be willing to say that it is okay to feel sad, that it is okay to be stressed, it is okay to be anxious. It is okay to feel everything that you are feeling, the good and the bad. We have to acknowledge that our feelings exist, that they are here to stay. And after validating our own emotions, in order to destigmatize these very emotions in our communities, we must practice empathy. So the next time your friend or just someone in your class expresses, "I'm not doing so well, I'm having a bad day," just listen. Listen to what they are saying. Empathize with their emotions. Try and show compassion. Try and understand what they are saying and respond in an appropriate manner. And maybe, just maybe, the next time that they feel an emotion that they don't know if they're able to deal with, they aren't as hesitant to share it. Now, I can say from experience that it isn't easy to do this. It isn't easy to step out of your comfort zone. It isn't easy to be brave. But we have to be willing to ask ourselves, if we want to see change in our world, why should we wait for someone else? Now, I can say for myself that I've come a long way. I've learned to look at myself in the mirror and say, I'm not feeling the best, man. Just today has been the worst day. I'm tired, I'm stressed, I'm anxious, and oh my God, I just want to go to bed. And I've seen the positive impact that's had on my life. I now feel comfortable enough and confident enough to tell my friends that, hey, I'm not in the mood to talk. I'll FaceTime you another day. Or, I just need my space. I'm irritated, and I just need some time on my own. I've learned to read my surroundings and respond to my friends' emotions in the proper way. I've learned to respect how they feel instead of shut them down. And the only reason I'm able to do every single one of these things is because I first acknowledged that my feelings exist. I practiced self-awareness, and in turn, my emotional intelligence increased. And I know that this is something that we can all achieve if we only look at ourselves and say, my emotions are not something I should be ashamed of. My emotions are nothing to be feared. They are our backbone. And when we accept that they are real, the sky's the limit. My name is Khushi, and thank you.